Welcome to this Tuesday, September 2nd, Neighborhoods meeting. It's now 9:31, and we'll go ahead and gavel in the meeting and start with introductions. To my left with Mr. Delaney.
Bill Delaney, Mayor's Office.
Colleen Hampsey, Council Research.
Mary Stefopoulos, Office of General Counsel.
Philip Peterson, Council Auditor's Office.
Ken Amar, City Council, District 1.
Randy White, District 12.
Mike Gay, District 2.
Good morning, Chris Miller, At-Large, Group 5.
Ron Salem, Group 2 at large.
Michael Boylan, District 6.
All right. Thank y'all all for attending. We'll go ahead and open up for public comment. And we'll start with our first speaker. Forgive me if I say your name wrong. Is it Spencer Sorfleet? And make sure I see on here, all the comments are regarding the bills we have on the agenda. So I just encourage anybody that does speak to be specific on the bill. So come on, Mr. Sorfleet. You'll give your name and address for the record, and you got 3 minutes. Yeah, the mic ain't on.
Spencer Sorfleet, 7824 Collins Ave, Miami Beach, Florida. I'm here for questions only on the ordinance that may come up, item 16.
All right, thank you, sir. Next is Jenny Myrick. Okay, questions only. Thank y'all. We've got one other speaker card. All right, Mr. John Nooney, and you'll have your name and address, and you'll have 3 minutes to speak specifically to a bill. Go ahead, sir.
All right. Well, hello. I am John Philanthropic, Resiliency Intangible, Good Boy Nooney, Ocho Tres Cinco Seis, Bascom Road, Jacksonville, Florida, 32216. I'm in City Council District 4, CPAC Planning District 3, School Board District 3. And, okay, as far as the agenda, I was going to just touch on agenda items, 1, 2, 3. You got 2025-0422. Okay, that's the radio, 8.9 million, WBOB, we be on budget. Yeah, go ahead and dole that one out. Agenda item 4, 5, 2025-0457. Now that's, this is, we got, let's see, I think we got about over $1 million. Let's just do a fast pass CRA Park on Pottsburg Creek in District 4, CPAC 3, School Board District 3. Agenda item 6, number 7, 2025-0539. Number 9, 2025-0600. Okay, that's, let's see. Oh, we're going to be increasing the fines from $3 to $5. Okay, agenda item 15, 2025-0611. So that's $76,000, for a special, garbage district for SPAR. And I didn't get a chance to go through the rest of the agenda. I'm just down to a minute, but there are a couple on second. And this is neighborhoods. And one of the biggest things with neighborhoods for all of Jacksonville should be access to our waterways. And especially when it comes to, cleaning up, just doing cleanups. Cleanups can happen on our waterways at such an accelerated rate if there's access for anybody to get to the waterways, to clean the waterways. So I just want to share with everybody, I'm only down to 20 seconds. Just remember that we're on the fined list. That's the Florida Inland Navigation District, 12 counties, the east coast of the state of Florida. And that is a game changer for the state of Florida and cleaning our waterways. Thank you for listening.
All right, thank you, Mr. Nooney. Next on our agenda, we'll have a presentation from Al Ferraro, who's over the litter and blight efforts here in Jacksonville. Welcome, Mr. Ferraro, and you'll have 10 minutes, sir.
All right, good morning. Good morning, council members. Could I hand these out? Approach the bench. My name is Al Ferraro. I am the manager of Blight Initiatives with the City of Jacksonville under the Public Works Department. And I've been working in all your council districts on fighting litter and blight. This is a core function that we have in the City of Jacksonville. I'll try to be as brief as I can on such a large project. Why do cleanups matter? And well, the litter and blight and illegal dumping is happening in all 14 districts. This is something that's continually happening on and off. And I would invite any council members and at-large members to come out with me to see some of the challenges that we have. It impacts the neighborhood's pride, safety, property values, quality of life. When I first took this job, we were talking to school kids about litter, and it's quite difficult to talk to them about picking up after themselves when they're walking to school and they're climbing over illegally dumped tires, mattresses, homeless camps, things like that. So the cleaning up of the city is of vital importance. It supports businesses, investment, and tourism that's hampered by blight. Who wants to move to a city that has areas of blight? We want to get all these areas cleaned up, and we need help. The prevention of pollution and retention ponds, rivers, and tributaries. I'm going to take two separate parts of town. I'm going to take, since Councilman White is here, I'm going to take District 12, and I'm going to take District 13. Two ends of town, completely separate. You got the best side, and you got the beaches area. So we have a road, POWMIA, to do what? To honor our soldiers, our fighting soldiers who have perished. And we have this beautiful highway that I took part in naming. And if you go down that road, you'll see a lot of chain link fences that are put up, that we have city properties that have been constantly dumped on with illegal tires. You have, in that particular area down POWMIA, we've had people dumping oil, lots and lots of oil out there, 5-gallon buckets of oil from changing vehicles. Housing developments where we have kitchen sinks and tile and drywall. We've been cleaning up a lot of that stuff. And then towards the other side of the beach, if you go to Wonderwood Expressway, there's a JTA parcel out there. That's in a couple of these pictures that we'll get to. That we've got people that have homeless camps that are littering and throwing things. And when the tides rise, we have everything floating in the river. It goes out to the beaches, goes in our intercoastal waterways, goes into our downtown area. The presentation here that I have that has the graph, I think that's important for you guys to look at if you have a chance. It shows the past funding and what the present funding is. Back in 2005, we had $2 million that was set aside for cleaning up the city. And now we have $250,000. It's a vast difference. Usually on graphs, you see where it starts off something small and it grows over time. This has been severely cut. The following page shows 20 years ago where we had the $2 million budget, where now we have the $250,000 budget. 20 years ago, we had 7 cleanup crews. What is the cleanup crews? Those are pickup trucks and trailers. We have 2 for the city of Jacksonville. The size of the city of Jacksonville, we have 2 pickup trucks that go and pick up. My lawn service had more cleanup crews than the city of Jacksonville. We also had 4 dump sites. We had one on the north side on Island Drive. We had one on the east side on Gervin Road. And we had one on the south side on Sunbeam Road, and also had the west side. No matter where you were at in town, your time was cut down dramatically because we had a dump site that we could go to. Now everything has to go out to 301 to get dumped. The other important issue to think about is during that time, 20 years ago, we had 700,000 people who lived in the city. Now we've got over 1.8 million people that we know of that are here in the city. So we've got so much less money, and we're trying to do so much more that we're really, really trying to do the best we can. The consequences for the cuts. On that page that you have the picture, that's the area over in Councilman Diamond's area. That is along Wonderwood Road. That is a JTA property that we're going to be working on and getting a homeless camp out of there. That has got illegal dumping. The problem in that area is when the tides come up, everything that is in that area floats off and goes in our waterways and tributaries. So the consequences of the cuts obviously are less frequent cleanups, and boy, do we need a lot of them. It also increases the illegal dump sites. One of the problems that we have with the illegal dump sites is we know where a lot of these are at. They dump on the same spots on a regular basis. The increased cost to taxpayers, past and present. You've seen in the past what Jacksonville looked like if you lived here, and you see what it is now. The increase is something else. The community is really frustrated. We've got a town hall meeting with the mayor tonight that we're going to be going out in the community, and I can tell you that one of the things, the highest things that they're going to be talking about is getting the city cleaned up. So those are some issues that I bring to you. Restoring Jacksonville's pride in a cleaner city. Who doesn't want a cleaner city? Investing in litter and blight mitigations, investing in our neighborhoods. This is something that everybody wants to have done in their communities and their neighborhoods, to see it cleaner. Cleaner streets equal safer streets. I can tell you, I go out with the patrol division and I go out with the city blight unit with the sheriff's office. And having cleaner areas of town are safer. A strong and vibrant community of residents for businesses. No businesses want to have this trash in the areas that we're having. So what would the $1 million fund be? What would we be doing? We're looking at all these different types of modernizations. I've already talked to you about trucks and equipment. That's obvious that we need that. But there's also other types of things that we can do. The increased enforcement, including cameras. It's really important for you to understand that, again, we know where these dumpings are going, but we need cameras. We need cameras that can read tags. We need cameras that can catch who's doing this so that we can start enforcing it. If we don't enforce this, this is just going to be an ongoing problem. We have 3 prongs. We have the enforcement, the education, and we need to have the enforcement part on there. And these cameras and the type of materials that we'll need to enforce and catch to put these folks either with a fine or some type of penalty to keep them from doing this. The other important thing from the very beginning is I've just talked about how we're cleaning it up, and I'm talking about present time of what we're doing. We need to do education, strong education. A lot of the folks on the council here are around my age or maybe a little bit younger. Years when we grew up, we learned on education about cigarette smoking, about keeping our parents from doing that, and we hounded them enough where most of them stopped. We also had, whether you think it's politically right or not, where we had Indians where they were crying, showing a commercial of what America the Beautiful looked like after it was polluted. This instilled into us to where we watched and made sure that we didn't pollute and contaminate our lands and our neighborhoods. I will tell you that there's a game that goes on with people who live in some of these apartments who put trash on their hoods or their roofs to go to the dumpster. And it has transformed to where they see how far they can go down the road now. And that's why you see bags of trash that are sometimes on the side of the road busted open, because they don't bother going there. The call to action is to restore the decline in funding in our litter, in our blight efforts, to adequately staff and get the equipment. We can't keep doing this with 2 trucks and 2 trailers throughout the city. We gotta truly make a priority of cleaning our city and getting rid of this blight. And before I close, I just want to share with you of the different departments, divisions that I use to try to get the city cleaned up as best I can. Solid waste has been an incredible asset to work with. I've worked with AT&T and all our phone companies. The cable company, code enforcement has been incredibly helpful. CSX and some of the railroads, that's been a real big challenge. The Department of Environmental Protection, they've been doing a great job. FDOT, I will say FDOT is probably in all your districts one of the biggest areas where we're having challenges with homeless camps and illegal dumping. They've been good, but in years past, we've been able to go and pick up things like that, the different bridges and stuff. We used to be able to go and help with some of that. JEA owns a lot of properties around the city. Those are a lot of places that we're having illegal dumping and homeless camps. So I don't go too long. I just wanted to share that with you. And Mr. Chairman, I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to do this, and I don't know if you have any questions.
All right, thank you, sir. I do have a couple of speakers in the queue. I'd like to welcome Councilman Peluso to the committee, and you're recognized.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you all for that presentation. I mean, one of my questions, and you kind of alluded to it towards the end, is the relationship with DOT. Like, I drive into downtown every day from I-10, and it just looks like garbage as you're getting off the ramp, getting onto Ashley, Forsyth, anything like that. And I think I mean, so many people have come out to me, especially those who, you know, pay into the business improvement district, folks who are in downtown, and they're saying, like, why does our city just look trashy? Like, why can't we pick up some of this stuff? So is it just that we keep hounding DOT and they're not doing it, or can we take it upon ourselves to kind of do that work?
Great question. There's the three prongs. It's to keep people from littering. That's the biggest thing. If we could stop that, we could save everything else. But we have people that don't tie down their loads. We have people that are driving around with bags of trash and dumping it. We have a lot of different things. The enforcement is a key. We need to really dig down and enforce that, because a lot of the illegal dumping that we have them right next to a sign that says $1,000 fine for illegal dumping. But to get to the point of your question on FDOT, anytime that I turn in any of your districts to get cleaned up from FDOT, I send an email, and then that email gets generated through the Florida Department of Transportation and then gets sent out to a contractor, depending on if it's if it's state or if it's a federal highway. Then we have to look at the boundary lines of where they're at and what they're responsible for. This is one of the things that has made the city to where it's not as clean, is there's a lot of steps that have to go in to get something cleaned, to get a contract for the contractor to get these things cleaned up. Where in the past, we had parts of our department in solid waste to where they were able to go out and get some of this stuff picked up, even though it was on state roads. So I imagine the state is in the same predicament we are, that there's less funding in for it. I hope that answered your question.
I mean, it does a bit. I mean, I've had this conversation with DOT a number of times, and I'm speaking a lot about just downtown right now. There's parts of District 7 and the old city limits that there's trash everywhere. But like, even if DOT can enter into a contract maybe with Downtown Vision to have the ambassadors pick up, you know, some stuff in their right-of-ways, like, could that not be something that they do instead of farming out a contract to somebody else? Can they just enter into a contract with Downtown Vision or whatever else and give them 30 grand, 50 grand to do work for a year? Have we talked about stuff like that? That might not be a bad idea.
I think that's what we did in the city in the past. And let me also share with you, I think it's important for you to know this and all the rest of the council members, that I sometimes pick and choose which ones I'm reporting because I know we can't get to them. So I look at prioritizing which ones are next to our schools, next to apartments, next to homes. So there are a lot on the list that I haven't even named and I haven't gotten to yet, just for the fact that what you just pointed out. I'm trying to prioritize the ones that I think that would be the most dangerous or harmful to our city.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Councilman Amaro.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First off, I want to commend Mr. Ferrara for the work he's doing. I've seen the emails back and forth, especially when he's navigating District 1. And I'm fully aware of the scope of the problem. You mentioned District 12, and I know Picketttville Road and some of those areas. You go to District 13 and Mayport. It just seems like if it's not homeless camps, it's just some wicked citizens in our community who just feel that they can just dump their stuff there. I'm curious that, given our budget season that we're in, the probabilities of being restored to what it was in 2005 is a dream in the sky. But what if it was currently doubled? You've got 250. What if it was doubled to 500? How much more could you do?
It's how much more you could do, Councilman. We will work with whatever we have, and we're going to go at it. We can either, it's sort of like painting a building. We can either paint it with a toothbrush, or if you give us a sprayer, we can go at it a lot quicker. Right now, we're kind of doing a paint job with a toothbrush. This is a big city, and Councilman Peluso's area is one of the areas that is kind of the front door of the city that we spend a lot of time with. And we have days that we go and we clean this stuff up. We could get the city cleaned up if we had more resources. It's simply, whatever you can give us, we will work with it. But, and if 250 is the number, we're going to work with the 250. But this is a gigantic city, and I'm asking any of you council members at large or district, please come with me and let me show you in your districts of some of the things that you won't see. And I say this to you because I sat on your side, and I know what you guys are dealing with. And it is so different over here, and all I want to do is just open your eyes to what I'm seeing. So to answer your question, anything extra you could give us would be more than helpful.
All right, thank you, Mr. Ferraro. We appreciate your efforts and that your department does.
Thank you all.
All right, moving on through going through our agenda, we'll go ahead and look at item number 1. It'll go through our action items here. Item number 1, 2024-0966 will be deferred at the request of Council President Carrico. Item 2, 2025-0361 will be deferred at the request of Councilmember White. Item number 3 we'll take action on. Item number 4 will be deferred. 2025-0448 due to the Planning Commission. Item number 5, 2025-0457 we'll take action on. Item number 6, 2025-0472 will be deferred at the request of Councilman Gaffney. Item number 7, 2025-0539 will be deferred at the request of Councilmember Peluso. We'll take action on item number 8. Item number 9, 2025-0600 will be deferred. Item number 10 we'll take action on. Item number 11 we'll take action on. Item number 12 we'll amend and take action on. And item number 13 we'll take action on. Item number 14 is action. Item 15 we'll amend and take action on. 16 we'll take action on. And we'll have one, the rest is on second. We'll have one emergency item. All right, so since Councilman Peluso is here, we'll go ahead and move his items up. So we'll go ahead and skip to item number 12. (2025-0608). Can I get a motion to approve on the amendment? Move the amendment. All right, I got a motion and a second. Mr. Peterson?
Yes, sir. The amendment will clarify the status of the Eastside Housing Collaborative LLC, that they are not currently a not-for-profit, but that is their goal. And under IRS code, they have the ability, they have a time frame for which to apply for not-for-profit status. Clarifying the waiver of section 122-423 as it relates to liens on the properties that are owned by the East Side Housing Collaborative that they took effect after or before taking ownership of the property. Changing the timeline for the development from 2 years to 3 years with a 2-year extension, and that matches our current ordinance code. Attaching revised Exhibit 3, which is the land donation agreement, to reflect that revised timeline for development to 3 years, and then also revised Exhibit 4, which is the quitclaim deed, to reflect that revised timeline as well.
All right, thank you, Mr. Peterson. I've got one speaker on the queue. Okay, so I've got a motion and a second on the amendment. All in favor, say yea. Any opposed likewise? All right, per your actions, you approved the amendment. I've got a motion and a second to move the bill as amended. And I've got several speakers. We'll start with Dr. Salem.
Thank you, Chair. Through the chair, who can answer for me why these pieces of property reverted back to the city in August of 2025?
I can, sir.
I'd rather have staff, Mr. Peluso, if we can. Is there someone that can tell me that?
Mr. Peterson?
Through the chair to Councilmember Salem, and Ms. Hunter may have additional information, but to my understanding, the city approved donating these properties to the Historic East Side CDC approximately 2 years ago. It was a total of 9 properties. They developed 1 for affordable housing. The other 8 were not developed and therefore reverted back to the city.
Is that correct?
Good morning. Renee Hunter, Public Works. Through the chair, I think Philip knows more than I do about this one. But so yeah, kind of ditto what he said. I think somebody from housing could probably explain why, but the typical process from a real estate perspective is we check properties, see if there's a need in the city. If there isn't a need, then through the chair, then we check to see if they comply with the affordable housing criteria. If they do, they go on the affordable housing list. And then apparently this one got donated to somebody who then didn't develop it within 2 years as required under city ordinance. So it would normally revert back to the city at this time, but I understand Councilman Peluso apparently had an interest in seeing that these properties go to a particular other organization. So that's my kind of high-level understanding of why we are at where we're at with these properties.
Thank you, Ms. Hunter. Mr. Jeffries, can you come forward? I have been recently appointed to the CBA committee along with Councilmember Peluso, so have become much more focused on affordable housing in that area. Do you have any information on the history of Lift Jacks in developing affordable housing in this area?
Through the chair to the committee. More so about these 8 properties here? You just want to know about Lift Jacks in general?
Just in general, because it appears like a new organization has been set up, a Lift Jacks Historic East Side CDC, as I understand it.
So through the chair of the committee, the collaborative was set up to partner with Historic East Side, specifically, I guess, beginning with these 8 properties. We gave these properties, Historic East Side, 9 properties in total. They developed 1, as they were said. The other 8, the nonprofit was having trouble finding funding to develop. Our donation agreement specifies that they cannot convey the property unless it's been developed. So that's why we come back here. The properties came back to the city, and now we're wanting to give it to this collaborative. So Lift Jacks has funding capacity, but they couldn't develop the properties because the properties weren't in their name. Okay, so Historic East Side and the Lift Jacks has created this collaborative. Now funding is in place to develop these 8 properties, and this is the avenue that we have to take to get there.
My understanding is that every 3 years, you take properties like this and put them out to bid for anyone to develop them as affordable housing. Is that correct?
Through the chair, yes, sir.
When is the next time that you do that?
We will have one coming up December of 2026.
Okay, a little over a year from now.
Summer of 26.
Summer of 26,
Yes, sir.
so 8, 9 months from now. Can you convince me that doing this collaborative would be a better way. I want affordable housing in that area. I'm trying to figure out in my own mind what's the best way to get there. Why is this better than going through that process in the summer?
Through the chair, timeframe, obviously, there is funding in place now for these to be developed. Rather than waiting for almost another year, putting it out for bid and going through that whole process where it could be another 2 to 3 years before those lots get developed if we wait and put it on the surplus donation. And, I'm not to say that if it does go to the surplus property donation list and we put it out next summer, we've changed that ordinance. We have, donation agreements now in place that are helping us get these developed quicker and making sure and being able to follow them to make sure they are getting developed. We had some challenges in the very first donation that went out back in 19 and 20, but we're on top of it now and things are moving forward, so.
Yeah, I want affordable housing in that area, and I'm not sure that with all the changes, we all know many of those original lots were sold for profit, and it was a disaster, clearly.
Yes, sir.
And I'm not convinced this is the best way to do it versus going through that bid process over the summer and spreading those properties out amongst potentially multiple providers and get that affordable housing built. That's where I'm at. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
All right, thank you. Next, we got Councilman Amaro.
Mr. Chair, 2 quick questions for Mr. Jeffries, just for clarity. Did I hear you say that this Eastside Housing Collaborative is a collaboration of Lift Jacks and the other Eastside community organization that's out there?
Through the chair to Councilman Amaro, yes, sir, through Lift Jacks and Historic Eastside.
Do they have the resources to get the work going?
That is the purpose of us transferring these properties into the collaborative. The collaborative has funding capacity to do these eight new homes.
8 properties. Through the chair, why haven't they declared their nonprofit status as a concern expressed by?
Through the chair to Councilmember Amaro. So the collaborative is a joint venture between Historic Eastside CDC and Lift Jacks, which are both nonprofit entities under the IRS code. This new collaborative was created and they have 27 months to file, but within their operating agreement have set out their intended purpose to operate as a nonprofit organization and can do so under the LLC status. Even though that's a bit unusual, it is possible, and that's their intent.
One more question through the chair to Mr. Jeffries. I'm a little bit concerned about the change in the timeline for development from 2 to 3. I know in the past, obviously, it didn't work, but if they've got the resources and they're ready to roll, why will we need to extend the deadline or the timeline for them to be able to get it done?
Through the chair to Councilman Amaro, I believe the original timeline is almost up. So with this new agreement, we'll extend the contract or extend the agreement out.
Can I hop in real quick? Or I think Cindy's going to say, the ordinance code when the properties were donated in 2023 allowed for a 2-year time extension. That has since been changed by council, that when properties are donated for affordable housing, the developer gets 3 years. So the reason for the amendment is just to match the current process.
Through the chair, if I can help clarify, and I think this might answer some of the questions. So our office represents the collaborative. We were brought in to form the LLC. It's a partnership between these 2 organizations. Historic Eastside CDC did receive the properties and they were having challenges of funding. So they're contributing the land. Lift has LISC on board to help with the funding, and they will be able to do 3 to 4 properties at a time is the hope as this moves forward. They have 3 to 4 GCs that are already on board, that they have plans that they agree are appropriate for Eastside construction. queued up and ready to go as well. So the purpose of the collaborative was to be able to do more faster and get these going. Lyft has been working on being able to do affordable housing development, but they didn't have land. So this partnership allows them to sync up and get these things taken care of and built and into the inventory.
All right, thank you. Next, we got Councilman Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through the chair, who will actually be doing the builds themselves? You've listed Lift Jacks and Lisk on the one side and Historic East side on the LLC on the other side. Who will actually be doing the builds? I'm trying to go with my colleagues here on this, on which is the better way to make sure this gets moving, gets done this time. So just wanted to see who the other players are, if we know at this point.
So Lift Jacks is getting contracts in place. Like I said, they've got 3 or 4 different GCs that have come to the table that are willing to partner with them. For what it's worth, I'm the president of the Jacksonville Community Land Trust. So when we get properties from surplus, we partner with different builders as well. The nonprofit isn't typically the one that's actually doing the physical construction. They're getting contracts with GCs that are qualified to do that.
Okay, and through the chair, are there, don't know how to best say this, but are there people still involved in this process that were involved in what was described as a, extreme failure previously? Are they still involved? Those same people and those associated with the liens to the city that we're just going to let go away, the different fines and liens, are those people doing something else right now? Hopefully.
All of the code enforcement violations and liens predate either of the nonprofits being involved.
I understand. Through the chair, I'm asking, are any of those people who are involved in any of that or this last round that didn't go anywhere, are those folks still involved in the process?
So 2 different questions, 2 different answers. The code enforcement matters predate either nonprofit. One of the nonprofits, Historic East Side CDC, received the original 9 properties. They were able to build 1. They are contributing these other 8 properties to the partnership, but they're not able to just do that as a direct title transfer. It has to come back through the city because of the agreements on property disposition. But yes, Historic East Side CDC received the properties originally, and they are still a partner to the collaborative.
Yeah, maybe I'm getting too specific through the chair, so I'll just let it go, but I was asking specific individuals, key individuals, are they no longer involved?
Well, the board...
I'll move on from that. How many properties has Historic East Side developed to this point? Just one ever. Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, Councilman Miller. Next, I want to go ahead and to Councilmember Boylan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think Ms. Trimmer and others have clearly demonstrated a viable path here. We constantly talk about government trying to do things it shouldn't be doing, and you got 2 entities, one of which has the properties, and the other has the wherewithal to access the funds to hire the contractor to do this. If we push this back even further, we're only going to delay the development of these properties. So for me, this is a no-brainer. I don't understand why we've been having these conversations. Let's move this forward and get it done so these homes can be built. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you. Next, Councilmember Peluso.
Thank you, Chair. And I want to echo some of the sentiments of Councilmember Boylan. I mean, yeah, you've got the CDC, which held the land, and you got Lift Jacks, which has done a number of projects in the area, including the East Side Apartments, which was an old apartment complex that they helped rejuvenate. And then, if you remember, we had Rudy Jameson's property that we had to go through all that rigmarole to kind of get the liens removed and everything else. That's what this process evades. So now we put these properties into the collaborative, which now has the funding sources available to actually develop on the land now. Lift Jackson, Eastside CDC has been talking about creating this collaborative for quite some time. They've finally been able to do it, and they have the capacity to actually develop on this land today. Seen the plans, seen the work, so very excited for this, and I ask that you all support it. You know, in terms of are some of the leadership members of the Eastside CDC still around, Councilmember Miller? Not really. The board completely changed over, and now they have actually paid staff running the CDC. So if you look at other CDCs, you very rarely find them in this city that have professional staff that are actually getting paid. A lot of CDCs are volunteer, and so it's a lot more difficult. So when we saw the problems in the 08-09 crisis with all the land going to CDCs and nonprofits that couldn't actually get the work done, Eastside CDC has kind of evolved from that, has professional staff, has people that are working on it 24/7, and now with Lift Jacks, they have a much better available funding source. So a lot's changed in the past couple of years, and you know, as Councilman Salem mentioned, with the CBA that we're working on now, we're seeing the professionalism of a lot of the organizations in the East Side that maybe 5 years ago they weren't there. Thanks.
All right, thank you. Councilman Miller for the second time.
Yeah, just real quick. For me, the Lift Jack Lisk comments help clarify this more for me on who the players are. And this is what our job is, to question these things, especially when there's been a failed effort before. And I'm sure previous council members were saying, let's just get this moving. Let's just get this going. That's why we ask these questions. That's why we try to find out what the details are and not say, let's get this going, and then, oh, why did that go wrong? So I'm given the comments that were made on who's involved and who's going to be part of making these happen. I'm okay with this. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Dr. Salem.
Thank you, Chair. Councilman Miller stole my thunder. I was not comfortable till I heard Ms. Trimmer's comments, and I could not reinforce the fact that's what we're here for. This is the committee process. I wish I could have met with Ms. Trimmer prior to the meeting, and I would have been very comfortable with her comments. We're all busy. We just went through 3 weeks of finance hearings. There's a couple others coming up here that I wish that I had meetings on prior to neighborhoods today, but I'm in a much better position now after hearing all the comments than I was when I walked in. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Councilman Boylan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just with all due respect to my colleagues, the bill was introduced on August the 12th, second reading on the 18th. Ample opportunity to do the homework if you have some concerns going into this bill. Thank you.
All right, I have no other speakers in the queue. I'd like to just put something out there that y'all, you're saying you've got 4 ready to move forward, which means 4 will just be sitting there. What is the projected time that they would just be sitting there stagnant?
Through the chair. So there are 4 GCs that are ready to go. I got clarification on who they are if you need that on the record. And their timeline, they have to go through permitting first. So depending on how long that takes, 3-4 months. And then construction is about 90 to 120 days. So if those 4 get going on day 1, you're probably looking at around 8 months.
Okay, I guess give a little more clarity, get a little more clarity here. 4 GCs, but how many properties?
So 8 properties.
But they're all
So
8?
half could come online on the front end. The other half would be in the inventory waiting to come online next, but they would be responsible for maintaining them, keeping them mowed, making sure nobody's dumping on them, and keeping them secure in the interim, rather than the city being responsible for that.
Right, I understand. I just want to be clear that 4 GCs, each one will be doing 1 property only. So you'll have 4 properties that won't have any action on it till these are complete, or you find funding for the other 4?
Through the chair, that is my expectation, that they would pick up the next one as they can finish the first.
So that would be an option if the committee wants to look at, is if we move forward with 4, knowing that the other 4 are going to sit there and let the other four go through the normal process. Just a thought, if it's more appetizing to everyone, but if not, we'll move forward.
Through the chair, this still allows them to move forward with design and permitting for the other ones. So you do still get those economies of scale and the efficiencies of getting them online faster than going through the full process.
All right, very good. I've got a motion and a second to vote on the bill as amended. Open the ballot and record your vote. Oh. It still don't work. It still ain't coming up. Do we need to? Yep, same problem. We need to go ahead and just do a hand. Okay.
Six yeas, 0 nays.
All right, by your action, you've approved 250608. The next action item, we'll go ahead, move to item number 15, 2025-0611. Can I get a motion to approve the amendment? All right, I've got a motion and a second. Mr. Peterson.
Through the chair, the amendment just corrects the fiscal year appropriation to 24-25 and then various scriveners.
All right. Mr. Paluso, are you on the amendment? Okay. All right, I've got a motion and a second. All on the amendment. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed likewise? Okay, by your vote, you've approved the amendment, so I can get a motion and a second to approve 2025-0611 as amended. I've got a motion and a second, and only speaker on the queue, okay, is Councilmember Boylan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I appreciate Mr. Paluso's supporting SPAR in this process. But it's been our goal, and I'm in the process now of creating an similar entity. But the goal is to make these things be freestanding. So help me understand why it's necessary, again, to support SPAR with its litter program.
I'm just through the chair to Councilmember Boylan. I will say, so these are funds that were going to expire at the end of the year. So this was like, let me find a organization right now that's operating at a very high level to make sure that I'm helping a program that I care very much about. This actually started under Councilmember Miller. This is the $200,000 that he was able to put towards a cleanup core. This will just kind of extend that another year. SPAR is already working on fundraising for future years of what this looks like. So honestly, this is just extending what we already have right now with the 200 to just kind of keep it moving, because otherwise those dollars get expired.
Thank you. Through the chair, thank you.
All right, thank you. No other speakers in the queue. I've got a motion and a second to approve the bill as amended. Open the ballots. Let's cast a vote.
Five yeas, 0 nays.
All right, by your vote, you've approved 2025-0611 as amended. Thank you, Mr. Paluso. All right, that takes us back to the beginning of our agenda, to our first action item. Will be item number 3, 2025-0422. Can I? Okay, so we go ahead and present your amendment.
Thank you, Chair. The amendment I have, many of you've heard the discussion why we deferred this bill. We were waiting to hear from the auditors exactly how much we need to put into the healthcare fund to stabilize it. It is in a deficit right now, and we cannot leave it in a deficit position as we get to the end of the year. The auditors came to me, and I'm going to read what they provided me, to appropriate $572,100 to the radio communication fund to cover debt management fund repayments. This is another fund that can't be in a deficit position, and this brings it out of that. And the second provision of this is to put $5 million to the group health fund to help ensure this fund does not have any negative cash issues at the year end. That is my amendment. And if we pass this bill, we'll be able to withdraw item number 5 on the agenda today, which is we've already discussed in budget hearings.
All
So
right.
that's my amendment, sir.
Thank you, sir. So we've got an amendment. Can I get a motion and a second on it? All right, I've got a motion and a second on the amendment. No other speakers. All in favor say yea. Okay. Any opposed likewise? All right, by your vote, you've approved the amendment. So now get a motion and I've got a motion and a second to move the bill 2025-0422 as amended. And I got Councilmember Boylan in the queue.
Mr. Peterson, if you wouldn't mind just clarifying, so in lieu of 8.377 going to the HUTH fund, per this amendment, is now $5 million.
Through the chair to Councilor Boylan, that's correct.
Ms. Moyer, do you have any thoughts on this, or what's your comfort level in terms of the administration? I appreciate Councilmember Salem's efforts to get this in line. I just want to make certain the administration is in accordance with this. Ms. Moyer? Through the chair.
Angela Moyer, Budget Office. So my concern is that this is a $100 million fund and that bringing them down to zero, the $5 million will basically keep them potentially from going underwater. However, that leaves them with no balance going forward into fiscal year 25, 26. So my concern is that if, we're going to put this into the general fund reserves, but then this fund could potentially be underwater and we'll have to clean it up as part of the recapture process, and or I'll have to float the entire fiscal year 26 transfer to this fund in the first quarter in order to bring them into the cash positive. But it's, obviously it's up to the committee.
Thank you, Ms. Meyer. To our Councilmember Sable through the chair, I appreciate, again, your due diligence, and we spent a lot of time on this. So your comfort level, putting them kind of on the precipice here can you help me understand why you support the amendment, or the bill as amended?
Through the chair to Councilmember Boylan, 2 issues here. The $5 million puts them in a positive position. They can use our general reserves, and they have used our general reserves as a backup. Letters have been sent in past years to the regulators saying we have $380 million in our reserves if there's any issues. Number 2, I do want to make sure we're in a positive position. As you know, we've hired a consultant to come in and look at our health care plan. I believe going back many years, it has not been managed correctly in terms of our whole benefit program. The last couple of years, we've barely tweaked it, as we had a $40 million reserve 3 or 4 years ago, and now it's in a negative position. So this brings it even. I believe that's what we need to do, and we're going to be working on this through our DOGE committee right after the first of the year.
All right. Councilman Salem, you're in the queue. Do you still want to? All right, thank you. All right, so we've got no other speakers in the queue. We've got a motion to approve 2025-0422 as amended. Go ahead and open the ballot. Record your vote.
Five yeas, 0 nays.
All right, so by your action, you have approved 2025-0422. Next item will be number 5, 2025-0457. I've got a motion to withdraw. Do I have a motion? Motion and a second? All right, I've got a motion and a second to withdraw. Any discussions? All right, no discussion. All in favor of the withdrawal? That's a ballot vote? Okay. All right, open the ballots.
Five yeas, 0 nays.
All right, so by your action, you have approved the withdrawal 2025-0457. All right, next action item will be item number 8, and Ms. Pittman is not here. I want to go ahead and just move past this one. We'll come back and give her time to make it here if she's going to make it. Next item will be number 10, 2025-0601. Can I get a motion to approve? Move the bill. Move the bill, I mean, yeah. So I've got a motion and a second to move the bill. And I've got Colonel Miller in the queue.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through the chair, I just wanted to clarify with the auditors, in fact, maybe give them an opportunity to go over their comments, as maybe not everyone has seen them. And I must say, in the comments section, I fully agree with the comments that are there, given I introduced the legislation that was referred to and our whole body approved it. I'm not really sure what all is taking place here, but I'm sure Mr. Williams or someone else maybe will get the opportunity to explain some of this from the administration's perspective. But I just wanted to see if we could hand it over to the auditors for a little bit of clarification on their comments.
Through the chair to the committee. So this bill extends, first off, sets a new rate for Waste Pro for their service territory in the southeast part of the county. As Councilmember Miller indicated, this council approved getting rid of the rate review process, but we do have 2 contracts out there that still have rate review language in them. This bill will get rid of the rate review process for Waste Pro and authorize CPI to carry itself forward through the remainder of the contract, and then also provide them 2 extraordinary rate adjustments similar to what was included in the Meridian contract that was discussed last year. The other part and the impetus behind the comment is that this contract will be extended an additional 6 years to 2035. The Office of Administrative Services has indicated that they included that because that is what the same opportunity that was provided to Meridian last year. We believe that this is a different scenario than what Meridian found or what the council found themselves in as it related to Meridian due to the increased rate that was approved by council, the mayor vetoing, council overriding that veto, and then an additional bill coming forward at a later point in time. So just wanted to point out that the 6-year extension as it relates to Waste Pro is a very different scenario than what we found ourselves in with Meridian. And then just providing context that Waste Pro has had this contract since 2007. This area has not been put out to bid, or another provider had the opportunity to even see if they could beat the rate since 2007, and extending it to 2035 is an extended period of time.
And to the auditors, through the chair, there are 4 years left on their current contract, is that correct?
That's correct. The current contract runs through September 30th of 2029.
Okay. And again, unless I'm missing something here, this is a different situation here we're talking about. And, from what I believe, and given Meridian has had this contract for so long, they're doing a good job. There's no question about that. But the question to us as a body is, do we believe competition is a good thing or not when it comes to city contracts? That may seem oversimplifying this, but to me, the issue in question, that contract extension, with there being 4 years left on the current contract, would we like to see that and other contracts hereafter have other companies have the opportunity to be able to put in bids for those contracts? To me, that's what this comes down to. The other things are unless the others have something else that I'm missing, the other things are making it consistent with the previous legislation. So I don't have any concerns with the other aspects of this bill. It's just the extension with already 4 years left on their contract and extending it out to 6 more years, actually, on top of that. I'm looking forward to getting other people's comments on that, but to me, I think competition is a good thing, and the intent of the original bill wasn't to eliminate competition. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Colonel Miller, next, Dr. Salem.
Thank you, Chair. Well, this is a complicated one for me. I yelled from the rooftops to get rid of the rate review during this whole process. And we were able to finally get rid of the rate review. One of the reasons that was told to me by the providers is the rate review prevents competition. People do not want to come into Jacksonville as a garbage provider because of the rate review process. We have gotten rid of the rate review. And now we're extending a contract that goes through 2029 for another 6 years. I am concerned about that, personally. I have a meeting scheduled with Mr. Williams this afternoon. I have been in budget hearings the last 3 weeks, full days, multiple days a week, so I have not had a chance to have that discussion. And I've also preached from the rooftop that there's 3 things in this government we must do well: police, fire, and garbage collection. I went through COVID. I think Mr. Boylan was with me. I had a bad provider, and I have told stories where I couldn't get home driving into my neighborhood, people stopping me in the street complaining about the provider we had in the Arlington area. It was a disaster. Y'all recall we moved recycling in my area to Blue Cypress Park. It was not something I ever want to go through again as a council member. So, and I'm not suggesting that Waste Pro is not providing a good job, but I am concerned that we're extending a contract and it's different than what we did with Meridian, as was stated by the auditors. This is different. So I'm going to vote no today. I want to get further information through the committee process in my meeting this afternoon, but I mean, this goes through 2029 as it stands. And I'm not convinced this is the right thing to do. I think competition is needed whenever we possibly can. And I've heard the comment already that, the beach is at $30. Well, there are differences in these contracts. We pay for fuel. It's different at the beaches. So I'm looking for some type of comparison from Public Works or somebody that shows me for $30, this is what they get, for 25, whatever the rate is, 25 and change, this is what they get. So I can have a good understanding that we're making a good decision here. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you, Dr. Salem. Next, Councilmember Wallen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm not sure if Mr. Williams or Mr. Fuller want to come down to speak to the extension. You know, it's council member Salem may recall when we renewed the Wasteboro contract, we were looking at others RFPs out there, and at that point in time, it was a significantly higher number, but certainly far better than what we were seeing from any of the RFPs that came in. In my view, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And Wasteboro has proven to be a really quality provider of service in my district. And as you said, it is a priority of my constituents to make sure that is done. So through the chair, to, I guess, Mr. Reichert or whomever, can you speak to the rationale for the extension of the contract? If we've got 4 years, it does stand to reason to say, let's see how it plays. So the rationale for the additional 6 years, through the chair.
Richard Reichert, Administrative Services. Through the chair to Councilmember Boylan. So back in March, when we sat down, and it was on the tail end of the Meridian contract, I asked Will and the team and Eric, I said, hey, how do we, let's try to navigate this one a little bit better. I don't like where it ended up. And so as I talked to everybody, nobody likes the rate review process. To Councilmember Salem, Dr. Salem's point, it does keep competition from coming in here. I get that. But Wastepro has done a fantastic job. And RFPs are not easy in the waste hauler business. They're not. Police, fire, picking up the trash. I can't imagine doing that with fire rescue, contracting out and then putting things on the back burner while you put an RFP out. I mean, there's just, to us, the long-term security, building the CPI in there, doing away with the rate review, I think long-term it just makes more sense, and it's easier for everybody. We mirrored the $150,000 for the community money that Meridian did. We cleaned up all of the liquidated damages that they pay us for fines and so forth for not picking up, et cetera, that haven't been updated in 10 or 15 years. So it's not just a contract extension. There's a lot of other pieces and moving parts in here that I think secure a long-term trash pickup for the city, which is what the citizens deserve.
Again, Mr. Chair, I'm going to reiterate my comment. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I really do appreciate the concerns, the importance of competition in this process. But as I recall, even, and Mr. Williams might know this better than I, that I think Wastepro was the only one who bid on that project some years ago.
Yeah, in 2022, that was the other thing. The last time we put an RFP out, and that was for the West Side District, one of the hauler areas, closest to the landfill. If my memory is right, it was $28. Well, if I do the math, and Philip can correct me, with the 2% CPI increase today, that number today is going to be less than what that would have been in 22. I don't think things have gone down since 22, so this is a good place to be.
And with Wastepro, obviously the furthest away, the beach is the south side, getting out to the landfill with no substation, costs for them probably much higher than it is for Meridian or others in this process. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you. Next, Councilmember Morrow.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Having lived on contracts for nearly 40 years, I understand the opening and the close and the windows for renegotiation. And if I were in Wastepro's position, I would love this extension. Out of curiosity, with the remaining 4 years, at what point do you begin renegotiating a contract, or do you just go out for requests for proposals, or do you renegotiate with the existing service provider? I think in the eyes of the general public, giving them a 10-year pass, if you will, and if they've been doing exceptional service, I get that. but it can be perceived as something inequitable, something wrong. And I think that's what the auditors are concerned. My question is this: at what point in the remaining contract do you actually begin the conversation about renewal or things of that nature?
Hey, good morning. Eric Fuller, Solid Waste Division. Through the chair to Councilmember Amaro. So as the contract language states, in the 5th year of the term of their current contract, they must express a desire to renew or not renew. So it would be in the 5th year of the contract where they would come to us and say, yes, they want an extension, or no, they don't. And if I could just add, just because I think there's a misconception about the Meridian situation that we were in before. So we were in year 3 of the Meridian contract, and we went through rate review. That rate was then brought to council, and there was a discrepancy, or there was a desire from Meridian to increase the rate above the rate review. And so that's really the only difference between then and now. Waste Pro is in year 3 of their contract term. Meridian was in year 3 of their contract term. And that got to some bit of negotiations. But in terms of where we are now versus then, other than that, we're at still the midpoint of a 6-year contract. And this extension is based on the Meridian extension that you all approved. And just to give a little, as mentioned, last time we put out an automated bid. We got one bid on the west side for $28.53 in 2022. And just so, in terms of what is a justification for the 6-year extension, I will say in 2013, Waste Pro got a 10-year extension of their contract, and that was part to add the compressed natural gas into there. Meridian got a 6-year extension beyond their 3 years left on their contract. And then another argument you would see if you look at our adjacent counties in St. Johns County and Clay County, you see they got rid of their old contractor, bid it out, and you saw some significant growing pains and some missteps with the contractors as they came on board. So when you bring a new contractor into an area, they've got to learn the routes, learn the area. There's a growing process. So just be advised if we do go to where we want to bid this out, and we do have a different contractor, think of those things. And also, again, we did bid out one service area before for automated service in the same way Waste Pro does that, and the price was about $3 higher than what we're talking about right now. So just wanted to bring that to your attention.
Thank you, Mr. Fuller. I fully understand. I have tremendous confidence in you three guys right there, that you would not bring something half-baked to speak. So I respect that fully. I was just speaking in general in the perception of it becoming a sweetheart deal, if you will, because of the timing as to where this extension is being applied. I'm one of those, I remember when we were going through the Meridian situation, they were talking to me specifically about what Waste Pro may have received, and my attitude to them at that time is, I don't care about what Waste Pro received. I want to know why should I, justify to me why I should support what you're doing. And that's the way I've navigated my thoughts on these things, if you will. So my question was just the timeliness of the extension, that's all. And if they've been doing a good job, I get it. You want to be consistent. You want to stay with those who are doing a good job. I get all that,
So, Will Williams. So to add to that, we go back to Waste Pro. And Waste Pro had us against the ropes the last time we was getting ready to go out to bid. Waste Pro was at the end of their contract, and Philip can tell you this. They were at the end of their contract. And so we were negotiating back and forth out of good faith, having conversations. So the first number Waste Pro came to me with was $28 and something. Come back with another number, that's not gonna work. And I say, remember, relationships. relationships. And they came back with the number that we're currently paying today. So it's about relationships, partnerships. Remember that. They could have easily charged us $28, $29, $30 a premise because there was no one else to bid. Remember that.
All right, thank you. I want to go ahead to Mr. Peterson.
Through the chair to the committee, I don't have a dog in this fight. I just want to make sure that y'all have all the information necessary to make your decisions. The reason council got rid of the rate review process mainly was because you would have additional people come in and bid. You might have other people who were not operating in Duval County from other areas, and by extending this an additional 6 years, you won't find that out. The other part I want to bring up to you is there's been discussions in the past. I've talked with Mr. Williams, and I believe Mr. Riker and I have had a conversation about this, of our service territories are some of the largest in the state at about 80,000 premises per service provider. There are only so many waste haulers in the country that can service such a large territory. And so there's been discussions about reducing those territories down to something more around the 40,000 or 50,000 premise count that might provide a smaller hauler who's in county or elsewhere in the state or the country, that they may come in and be able to bid a lower amount because of the territory. But such a large territory is very difficult for someone to bid on. By extending this for another 6 years, we won't find that out. So just want that to be a consideration. We're essentially locking ourselves in to this for the next 10 years because we've given 6 years to Meridian, which really was under a different circumstance. Council approved a rate, did not extend the contract for 6 years. The mayor brought that back after discussions, potential lawsuits being brought against the city. And I'm guessing that if you approve this today, the second Meridian territory, which will come to you sometime next year, will also have an additional 6-year extension because the other two providers have received that same 6 years.
All right, thank you, sir. Next, Colonel Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through the chair, somebody was telling us to remember something. I'd like everyone to remember what Mr. Peterson just said. I mean, that's important. Yes, relationships are important. They are. And you guys do a great job, and your teams do a great job in working through all of this. But the scenario has changed, and you talked about the need to extend this contract to a total of 10 years because you want to lock that in, and the taxpayers or citizens deserve that. Comments to that effect. I get that thinking, but as was stated, we enacted the previous legislation to make the conditions more likely that we will have additional people coming in, companies coming in and wanting to bid. And I say the taxpayers and citizens deserve that as well, to get competition as part of the equation. And I'm not sure about the reducing the size of the areas and increasing the number of areas to try to spur that on even more. I think there could be some merit to that, but that's a later discussion maybe. But right now, the action we previously took does set up a scenario where we make it more likely that we are going to get more competition at the end of every contract period. But as Mr. Peterson said, if we add 6 years on now, and that'll take it out to 10 years, we won't find that out. So we did something to engender competition, and now we're saying we're going to kind of negate that by extending it to a total of 10 years in this case, and then probably subsequent contracts as well, given the precedents that we could possibly set here. So I'm not convinced this is the best thing for the taxpayers or the citizens, as the folks who were entrusted with the funding purse strings here. So I believe, and I will tell you, my research for the previous legislation that we passed when it came to the Meridian situation, and then it was different. One of you said it wasn't. It was. The terms, the iterations we went through there, it was very different. I did research throughout the surrounding counties, and I went beyond the surrounding counties. I couldn't find any contracts that went beyond 6 to 7 years. Those were the longest of any contracts in any of the other counties. So I started calling. I called some of the mayors, some of the city managers, said, why is that? Competition. We want to make sure there's competition. We don't want to go to anywhere from 8, 9, 10 years because you've locked yourself in. There's a positive side of locking yourself in, and I think you guys are referring to that. But I'm where I sit right now, given the way this reads, and again, I'm okay with everything else that you guys have come up with, and it does make it consistent with previous steps, but I'm still struggling with the extending it out to 10 years and doing away with any possible competition 4 years from now for this contract. And so as things stand right now, or as this reads right now, I'm not inclined to support it because of the effect that it could possibly have on possible competition at the end of the 4-year contract. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Dr. Salem?
Thank you, Chair. I want to make 3 points. The bid of 28 that y'all mentioned, that was for the west side area, correct? Waste Pro area
Yes.
today, but the rate review was in place when that bid was
Correct.
put in, correct?
Correct.
Okay, we've eliminated the rate review, which through all my discussions was a significant hindrance to people bidding. That's number one. Number two, I have been reading about garbage collection recently, Wall Street Journal, several places, and there's tremendous technology that's coming to this industry where you would have a trash bin, for example, that could sense if it was half full or full, and there'd be a motorized way for it to come to your curb versus what we do today. So there's all sorts of technology coming into this industry that I don't believe is anywhere in any of these contracts to explore in the future that I think that we ought to have the ability to do that. Garbage collection is very, very expensive, and we need to have the best. Last question to Mr. Reichert, I guess. Is there anything preventing us over the next year or two to bid out this contract? But let me finish my question. Bid out this contract, but in a way that doesn't necessarily mandate that we accept that price. And I know a provider would say, they're just using me, I'm not going to give them a good, and I get that part of it. But is there a middle ground here so that I would feel comfortable and the taxpayers would feel comfortable that we have explored everything we can to make sure we're getting a good price and good services? Thank you. Can someone answer that?
Let me make sure I heard that right. You say in a year, could we bid this contract out?
No, I said this present contract goes through 29, correct?
Correct, but you said in a year.
No, I said in a couple of years or so.
That's what you meant, in a couple of years?
Yes,
Okay.
that's what I said.
So in a couple of years, 3 years, yes, we could bid it out. But as I said before, I want to see which one of you guys stand up and say, in a couple of years, when we bid it out, and we come with some kind of crazy number, I want to see who stand up and say, hey, Mr. Williams said, don't do it, and we did it. We bidded it out, and this is the number we got. Because I guarantee you, just as sure as we bid it out, you're going to get something you don't want. I promise you.
But you didn't answer the other part of my question.
What's the other part of your question?
Without obligating us to accept that price, is there some middle ground here? Will, you're not answering my question.
Councilman Salem, there is no middle ground. You put it out the bid, you get what you get. And we will have to accept whatever we get.
Through the chair to OGC, Mary, is there a way of finessing this in some way?
Through the chair to Councilmember Salem. So sometimes there's ways that you can get requests for proposals and things like that. So before you do, instead of doing a formal bid, you can kind of see what you get and what the timing on that. And, you know, there's a lot of different ways you can write those packages to try to secure the information that you're looking for to make an appropriate decision. If that doesn't work, then you can go out for competitive bid, but that could give you some idea of what the market rates are looking like at the time that you issue those RFPs or RFIs.
That's kind of what I'm looking for, is some way to gauge what the market is without the rate review process. And I think whether we should have 80,000 people per contract or not, those are all things that I think we should be looking at all over this county to make sure this high-price service, we're getting the best prices we can. As I said, I can be educated over the next week or so, but I'm not comfortable today from what I'm hearing. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next, I want to go to, I want to go on to Chief White for the first time.
Thank you, and through the chair, I missed some of this, I had to step out a minute, but I have confidence in those three gentlemen there, and I hear there's some thoughts here of maybe we can be at a better place. If we deferred this for 2 weeks, because I don't know how it's going to go up here, I don't support y'all because I think you are the experts. Would that put us in a place that you can get all these questions answered before it goes to a vote and we end up somewhere where we shouldn't be?
Yes, Councilman White, we can defer this, but this is the reason why I had my assistant we sent out a white paper, and my assistant reached out to all 19 members to see if we wanted to meet. And nobody responded to meet. But yes, we'll defer it for 2 weeks.
Oh, well, I didn't meet because I had the confidence in y'all, but I think there's some meetings from henceforth from what I'm seeing, and I think it puts you in a better place to maybe get you where you need to be.
And another thing that you said that I definitely agree with, we are the professionals.
Thank you, Chair.
All right, thank you. Next, let's go to Councilman Boylan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Two thoughts. Mr. Fuller, you mentioned that in year 5, they're in year 3 now, presently of their current contract. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes, sir.
So 2 years from now, they're going to have to let you know whether or not they want to continue the contract. Is that correct?
That is correct. They would say they want to renew, and then we would have to bring forth legislation for that renewal, the new contract, and whatever those terms would look like. Typically, you're looking at a rate review at the back end in year 6 of that contract, which
Understood.
would build
Yes.
on that rate, but because rate review may not be a thing anymore,
Sure.
then there may be a negotiation of that price. So just to kind of walk through what Councilman Salem talked about in terms of putting out an RFP, they have a opportunity to say in year 5, yes, we want to renew. We can't wait until the end of year 6 to try to put out a contract RFP and bring in a new contractor. There's 30, 40 plus trucks someone has to buy, so we have to have some certainty. If we put out an RFP before they have an opportunity to say they want to renew, that kind of usurps the contract process. It takes them out, and then they would have an opportunity to see what those numbers are. So I don't know that there's a way to do a soft RFP to get it to gauge.
Understood.
So
two other thoughts real quickly. Councilmember Salem mentioned technology change. We all know these trucks are very fragile. Extending a contract allows them the opportunity to make the capital investment necessary for them to stay productive in the work that they do. last thought, if we're going to defer this, we might want to take a look. I think the angst here is the extension of 6 years. And I assume that's something that's been negotiated with Waste Pro. You might want to go back to the table and say, hey, how about we make it 4 years? Is David here?
Yes. So
Okay.
Yes. so
David,
the-
I'm going to toss this out there because obviously, if you can hear, the angst is the extension of the 6 years. If we shorten that a bit, would that be helpful and more palpable, perhaps more palpable to my colleagues?
Thank you. Through the chair, David Searcy, Waste Pro. I've had the pleasure of sitting back and listening. So to answer Councilman Boylan's question, sure, we're open to that. But I wanted to kind of bring up this whole rate review contract process and how we got here. Basically, when Meridian took over the contract, they what is that, Service Area 2, I believe. When they took over Service Area 2, the issue that was created for us was that they got paid a little more, the contract was a little different, and they were paying their drivers and helpers hourly. So what started to happen was they started to poach our people because they were paying hourly. We were on day rate. I had to call, so I ended up calling the owner and said, hey, this is the issue that we're having. He goes, hey, do what we need to do, fix it. It shouldn't stop us from being able to service people. Fast forward. So then you get to COVID. And I tell people all the time, you have before COVID and you have after COVID. It shook the world. It shook everything up. The one thing that we believe in with Waste Pro is partnership, family, commitment. We didn't stop trying to provide a service like many others. I don't know if you guys recall, but we hired cloud trucks to service neighborhoods. It was a complete disaster. You can't ask a cloud truck to come in, set its feet down, pick up individual homes, but we did that because we wanted to still provide a service to the community that we said we would do. All right, so I'm listening to everybody's concerns, and I think they're great concerns. We're not necessarily stuck on the 6 years per se, but what we've invested capital, we've invested labor. There's so many things and so much money that goes into this stuff that it's the more time that we can have out, the more that we can allocate. I don't know if you guys understand the supply market. It's taken up to a year, 2 years to even get trucks in now. Everything's changed drastically. It's costing, or it's making us to have to kind of look a little further out to make decisions, to plan. It's not what it used to be. So my job is to come out and secure contracts for my company. I can tell you, I bid on Clay County, I bid on St. Johns County. We lost both of those. The price was extremely low, but they had to sacrifice some things. Clay County did away with recycling, right? St. Johns County, it's a 10-year contract they signed. It was rough, it was crazy. People they lost their minds. You have other companies right now, Callahan bid is out. Very small, but it's out. What happened? You had 3 people come and bid. You had the current provider, you had us, and you had another hauler, and that other hauler came just to no bid it. The reason they no bid it, they said, hey, it's automated. It's automated or nothing for us. If they don't want to do automated, we're not even going to bid on it. So there's so many components. We would love to. I have no problem right now deferring to be able to get with you guys. I think the last time when we were doing talking about the rate review and extension, we provided analysis, which kind of gave you a regional perspective on what rates are, what services are provided, all that stuff. I'm more than happy to grab all that information, get it back out, defer, give us an opportunity to meet with everyone and see if we can kind of soften this thing a little bit. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Councilman Amaro.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Quick question for Will or Richard. One of the paradigms in government is you go for bid and someone comes back in and they bid the lowest, and in 6 months they're crying and they need more money. I don't get it. The tone of something you said earlier, if this 6-year extension was supposed to occur, how does that reflect on guaranteed pricing? Can you lock in the pricing to
Yeah, we'd
just
be-
the CPI increases
That was one of
versus,
the things to the chairman, the councilmember O'Mara, that was one of the things that we thought was a positive about this, was it would just be
You get
strictly
better rate.
CPI
Okay.
going forward.
that's what
All right, thank
Bill, I'll get you on calendar. I did get the email, it got lost.
Mr. Chair, we're fine with deferral. We'd be happy to meet with everybody, meet whoever you would like. We'll get whatever analysis you would like and bring this all back to you
Okay,
again.
let me go to Dr. Salem.
Mr. Chair, I'd be very comfortable with the deferral, but I have to say something I may regret. 7 of us were in budget hearings for the last 3 weeks, 3 days a week, full days, and most of those days there were 10, 11, 12 council members here. I have a meeting scheduled for 1 o'clock today, I believe, with Will on this issue. To suggest that this council is not working hard to resolve issues facing this county, it bothers me. We are working hard. This is an important issue, and we need to make sure we're doing the right thing. As was said on TV this past week, the mayor proposes, the council disposes. We're the policymakers here. We are accountable to the taxpayers. All I want is the best price and the best service I can get. I think you guys want the same thing, but you got to convince us. You got to educate us. And we have been a little busy lately with some other things. I think a 2-week deferral is a great idea. I look forward to talking to Mr. Searcy and others to educate me on, and OGC, to see if there's something we can do to make at least me and others potentially comfortable that this is the right thing to do. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So no other speakers in the queue. I'll go ahead and speak on this, that yes, I agree that y'all are the experts in the trash handling process, but I know a little bit about contracts, and I've dealt with a lot of contracts. And I dealt with procurement quite a bit when I first came into office to restructure a lot of it so that we had local business participation. We had ability to get other companies involved. And some of the concerns was a lot of our projects are so big that the smaller contractors can't get a bite of the apple. And that's what I'm seeing here, that, yeah, 80,000 pickups are potentially maybe too big to get others involved, to where we need to scale it down to where we can get some smaller contractors involved in it. So that'll be, I guess, some topics that we can look in the next 2 weeks, having those discussions on. And so I'll go ahead and defer it for a 2-week cycle, and look forward to having this discussion here in a few weeks. Appreciate y'all coming.
Thank you.
All right, with that, moving on to item number 11, 2025-0602. Can I get a motion to approve? All right, so I've got a motion and a second. No discussion, no speakers in the queue. I'll open the ballot. Okay, open the ballot, record your vote.
6 yeas, 0 nays.
Okay, by your action, you've approved 2025-0602. Next, item number 12, 2025-0608. Can I get them? I told y'all we already done that one. Item number 13, 2025-0609. I got a motion and a second to approve the bill. Dr. Salem.
Thank you, Chair. And I'm not sure who from the administration can answer this. This was a bill from last year. Can someone explain to me what exactly happened? As I recall, it was a combination of ARP and general fund dollars, and it looks like nothing's happened over the last year. Excuse me. So why are we back here where nothing's happened? Ms. Sherman, can you help me?
I sure can. Good afternoon, Lynn Sherman, through the chair to Councilman Salem. There was some misunderstanding in language in terms of the budget line items with grants and JU in determining what was indirect cost and what was not. It took longer than anticipated for them to resolve that. And so once that was resolved, we were able to move this forward. Unfortunately, it took longer than we thought it should take.
Through the chair to the auditors, are we risking ARP dollars by waiting this long to get these dollars expended?
Through the chair to Councilmember Salem, the short answer is no. These ARP dollars are different than the 300 million that we received in other ARP dollars. These were a later allocation by the federal government that have no expiration on by when they have to be spent. We just have to report on them, excuse me, on a quarterly basis until they are fully spent.
So there's no requirement to have them appropriated by a certain date. They could stick around for years, you're telling me, potentially?
Yes, sir. This separate sect of ARP dollars had very little requirements compared to what we were used to seeing with the other dollars.
It just seems to me this should have been resolved long before this, but I guess better late than never. Thank you.
All right, no other speakers in the queue. I've got a motion and a second to approve. Go ahead and open the ballot, cast your vote.
6 yeas, 0 nays.
By your action, you've approved 2025-0609. Next item, number 14, 2025-0610. Can I get a motion to approve? I've got a motion and a second. No speakers on the queue. Open the ballot, record your vote.
Six yeas, 0 nays.
All right, next item, 16. Oh, you're welcome. Item number 16, 2025-0613. Can I get a motion to approve the amendment? I got a motion and a second on the amendment. Mr. Peterson.
Through the chair of the committee, the amendment will add a reference to the 10 market rate units that are part of this project within the bill, include a requirement to execute the RDA within 30 days of council approval. That was a requirement of the DIA board resolution. Clarify that the Affordable Housing Support Loan repayment will be deposited back into the North Bank CRA fund, out of which the dollars will come. There's various scribblers that need to be corrected. And then lastly, placing a revised redevelopment agreement on file to do a number of things. First, to clarify the effective date for the performance schedule is based on the execution of the loan agreement. There are a number of things that have to occur prior to getting to that loan agreement being approved, and so that is the starting point, including an outside date for reversion of these 3 city-owned parcels for 2 years from the effective date of the RDA, requiring this DIA CEO approval for any reduction in the number of market rate units. That's reflecting the language approved in the DIA resolution. Reflecting that the loan repayment, once again, will be deposited into the North Bank CRA, and then there's scribblers in the agreement that need to be corrected as well.
All right, thank you. No speakers. I kind of go ahead and get a vote on the amendment. All in favor say yay.
Yes, yay. Move the bill as amended.
All right, any opposed likewise? All right, I've got a motion and a second to approve the bill as amended. No speakers in the queue. Open the ballot, record your vote.
6 yeas, 0 nays.
By your action, you approve 2025-0613. That brings us to our second readings. The following items are on second. 2025-0640, 2025-0641, 2025-0642, 2025-0643, 2025-0645, 2025-0647, 2025-0648, 2025-0649, 2025-0650, 2025-0651, 2025-0652, 2025-0653, 2025-0654, 2025-0655, 2025-0656, 2025-0657, 2025-0659, 2025-0660, 2025-0661, 2025-0664, and our last action item will be number 37, 2025-0672. Can I get a motion to approve the emergency? I've got a motion and a second on the emergency. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed likewise? The motion carries. For the emergency, we get a motion and approval to approve the bill as an emergency, 2025-0672. I've got a motion and a second. Any discussion? No discussion. Open the ballot, record your vote.
6 yeas, 0 nays.
By your action, you've approved 2025-0672, and that leaves our last item, number 8. What? Okay, item number 8. Ms. Pittman is not here, and so I will go ahead. I'll go ahead and defer this to the next meeting, and hopefully she can make it then. All right, any final comments from the committee? No comments? We are adjourned.